right. So now we're back. Good. The one of the things that I really want you to focus on was that, so many people now are closed off,
Hmm.
right? Not only because of grief and loss. We talk about the loss of a loved one, but also the loss of a lifestyle.
Hmm.
And you were a person that really sort of lost both, right?
I
You lost
did.
your lifestyle because you didn't tell us a lot. And I know I didn't ask you that initial question, but you had been exposed to quite a bit. I mean, a lot of those goals were almost there for you, right?
That's
So,
true.
can you tell me, what your background and your history is, and how you sort of got to that pinnacle, and then what happened at that pinnacle, and then you dropped, and we talked a lot about that. But then what made you get back up? When was that moment?
Wow. I, let me go back to the beginning. I was born
Mm-hmm.
by midwife on my grandmother's sofa in a little small town called Hoxie, Arkansas.
Yay,
And
Arkansas.
yeah, and then we moved to Memphis. Dad was
Yay, Memphis.
working the railroad because that's why Mama went to my grandmother's house, to her mom's house, to have me so she'd have some help. And from what I understand, my dad blessed me because he'd always prayed for a son. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that at age 5, he would put him back in the hands of the Lord. My mother never knew what that meant until I was 5 years old and my father passed.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've been blessed from the beginning and not even really realizing it. And,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, we were poor. We didn't have much. We had a lot of love. So mom always pushed education.
Right.
And I had developed these goals about getting a doctorate degree. Um, I really respected and looked up to Dr. Martin Luther King, and I still do. But I
Mm-hmm.
was developing into a pretty good athlete. So, being a good student and a good athlete, I earned a scholarship to the University of Michigan, where I was very successful, a 3-time All-American running back. And really, the world, I remember a friend, an alumni, said, "BT, you got the world by the tail. Just hang on."
All right.
And right after the Rose Bowl, 4 days later, on January 4th, my mom passed, and my whole world ended in my
Mm-hmm.
eyes. My dreams, my goals, a doctorate degree, the NFL, taking care of my mom, everything was out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so depressed that I just cried, and I heard it all the time. But I had moments where I tried to get back up, if I may, and just rely on my background as a young Christian man. But the pain was too great, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I
And
self medicate.
you experienced multiple tragedies that year too,
I
right? That
did.
was another thing.
Yeah, in January 4th, my mom passed suddenly. And then in June, some 4.5 months later, my uncle, my mom's brother, who was like a father figure, shot and killed my aunt and killed himself. And this knocked me down again, and more drinking and substance abuse. And I tried to get back up. And in September, the girl that I was dating was brutally stabbed to death.
Oh,
And I
Jesus.
just totally lost it. In 9 months and 20 years old, my mom, my uncle, and aunt, my girlfriend, it was just more than I could handle. And like I said, my dreams and goals were out the window. And when I drank and got high, I didn't hurt so much because I cried and hurt inside,
Right.
every day. And but of course, that lifestyle is a very negative lifestyle, and it sent me on a 20, 25 year downward spiral. There were times when I would stop and get a job, but then I couldn't keep a job,
Okay.
and the depression come back. So I battled depression for years. And there were people that I could have turned to, and I recommend and suggest that to anybody that's dealing with depression. Uh, Find someone to talk to. You have to open up. Don't try to deal with it yourself, because it will overcome you.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that's difficult to do, and part of my upbringing as an athlete, and when we men, we have this testosterone thing going on at the same time, and I just felt that it would be weak to cry or to go to somebody else or with your problems. You handle it yourself. But
Yeah, and that's one of
addiction,
the reasons why we talk about break the silent struggle with grief and
hmm
loss. And
right,
because it's very human. And sometimes we talk about but being strong, but still being human and having
right,
emotions and feelings are all a part of what we're trying to get people to understand. And then another thing is that we grew up in a time where people didn't understand depression.
that's true.
Depression was a bad thing.
hmm
It had a stigma attached
right,
to it, and mental illness had a
yeah.
stigma attached to it, and
hmm
people didn't know what to do with it
and you didn't
in
want
a
to you
good
didn't want to
form.
appear you didn't want to appear weak,
Exactly.
or immature or whatever, and that's really nonsense,
Hmm.
but at the time, that's exactly how I was feeling. And I was fighting a losing battle, with addiction and trying to handle it on my own. So
Hmm.
that's what I would say to anyone dealing with depression and difficult times, whether it's loss of a loved one or divorce or whatever. Talk to somebody,
Hmm.
about it. That's wisdom. That's really strength. It's not weakness.
Hmm.
And get the help that you need, because most people have someone in their life that they can uh, count on, rely on, that cares enough about them to give them valid information.
Right.
So
That's important.
yeah, go to the right source,
Yes.
not necessarily Shanae and Mookie.
Right.
You want to
Right.
talk to someone, a family member that cares about you, a pastor, a counselor, a teacher, a coach,
Hmm.
not just one of your street buddies.
Hmm.
So no
Exactly.
telling what they might say.
Now, tell me a little bit about your time in Michigan. I see you got your Michigan stuff on, and I asked you for your playlist, and I am going to add your playlist, and I am going to take the liberty of adding the Michigan fight song to your playlist,
Sure,
if
sure.
that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
had
I'm
a,
sure that got you riled up a many day, right?
oh yeah, yeah. I had a great career at Michigan. I played under the great Hall of Fame coach Glenn Bo Schembechler, and
Okay.
at the time I didn't like Coach Schembechler. He recruited me along with a lot of Ohio athletes, and we're both from Barberton, Ohio, by the way. But
Hmm.
on a recruiting trip, he squoze your arms, or you're soft. How did you run all those touchdowns? Made us lift weights and do push-ups and other calisthenics
Hmm.
under the clock. We had to run the 40 and the 100-yard dash and all of that. And I had I was a recruit with 57 offers. I've been traveling around the country. I had never been treated like that. All the
Okay.
coaches bring you in and wine and dine you, and, assign a couple of players to you to show you around, and you hang
Hmm.
out and you have fun. And then you close it out with a meeting with the coach and that sort of thing. But with Coach Schembechler, it was work, work, work. And
Okay.
myself and one of my teammates, Tom Darden, he's out of Sandusky, Ohio. We became roommates at Michigan, but we met on a recruiting trip, and we talked about this Bo Schembechler. We said, we're never going to go to school there and play for this man. We said, he's crazy, he's out of his mind, and all of that. But, destiny hit, and
Hmm.
we signed our letter of intent for the University of Michigan. And we decided not to go to Miami of Ohio, where Bo was the head coach. And after our freshman year at the university, um, the head coach, Bump Elliott, resigned. and took another job actually at Iowa. And Bo Schembechler was named head coach at the University of Michigan. That's how he became our coach. And it, it was, I never would have went anywhere that he was the head coach to play for him. But,
That's
you
too
know,
funny.
God has
That
a plan, you know,
that
and
was destiny.
it was destiny. It turned out to
Hmm.
be one of the best things to ever happen,
Hmm.
because he became more than a coach, a father image, a mentor, you know.
Hmm.
And he told us that those who stay will be champions. But it took a lot to stay because he pushed us so hard. We lost maybe 15, 20 guys off the varsity,
Wow.
because it was just too tough for them. But,
Hmm.
you know, being a bright eyed sophomore, we thought that's what it took to play ball at Michigan. And he always said those who stay will be champions. And
Hmm.
and it was true. We won 2 Big 10 championships, and we're undefeated our senior year. I was blessed to score the winning touchdown against Ohio State, and
Hmm.
I was an All-American 3 years in a row, and first team All Big 10 3 years in a row. So I had a great career at Michigan, and I have to contribute a lot of that to Bo Schembechler. I mean, I had to get out there and play and do these things, but I probably wouldn't have played as hard. I probably would not have been as successful if I wasn't coached by Bo, and he pushed us physically, mentally.
Well, that's sort of how you got the title of your book, right?
Exactly. You know, he was my biggest cheerleader. I'm running the ball, you know, I get tackled. Get up, Taylor. Get up. Get through the hole. Get back up, you know. So, you know, fast forwarding after the Michigan career, uh, I got knocked down in many ways, and most people do in life. You know,
Yes.
you don't have to be playing sports to get knocked down. So you can get knocked down financially, physically, of course, mentally, emotionally, socially, all of
Hmm.
those things. And I experienced all of it, you know,
Okay.
and I had to get back up to get my life in order and to go on and be successful in life, you know. But I don't wish the extremes that I went through on anybody, you know.
Hmm.
But like I say, who knows life's itinerary but the Almighty.
Yes.
And so, and my mom always told me there's a reason, a purpose for everything. And I still struggle with that, but I accept it, you know, because
Hmm.
I question God, why take my mom, my one and only mother, you
Right.
know, and she was only 60 years old. That's
Hmm.
not old, you know.
No,
And
not at all.
yeah, and I'm like 19, 20, and I needed her, you
Hmm.
know. And I'm sure my life would have turned out different had she lived, from a
Hmm.
standpoint of a lot of the negative things that I went through. But once again, mom said everything happens for a reason and a purpose, you know. And I still wrestle with that today, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
All
but
right.
God
But you
is
still
good.
get back up. You still believe in God. You know that God always had his hand with you, on you, taking care of you, and you always look towards God.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know,
Now,
I,
wasn't that sort of what you had told me a little bit? You can share with my audience about you heard a voice one
I
day,
did. Yeah, I was going through this up and down with the
and it wasn't
addiction.
Shanae or a Bubba or
Not at all. My addiction got so bad, I lost my marriage, the house, the car, the home, children, and I was living on the streets of Detroit for 2.5 years as a homeless person,
wow.
panhandling and in vacant houses, abandoned cars, etc., and just hustling to get, you know, alcohol or some drug. And August 17th of 1997, I heard a voice that changed my life. And just as clear as we're talking, Deborah, 4 words: William Taylor, come forth. And I was turning up a bottle of vodka, and it scared me so It just
Wow.
went through my body. I dropped it on the cement, it burst, and I immediately started cursing. I had nothing else to drink, and I ran around, circled this vacant building that I was sitting on the steps of to catch whoever it was, because we were going to fight. I was going to take care of them. And I circled the building and realized there was no one. And I started
Mhm.
looking to the sky. My God, is that you? And I got so afraid. I was sweating and shaking, and I just started running. And
Wow.
I crossed onto Jefferson, and it was I was nearly hit by 4 or 5 different cars that ran into one another.
Mhm.
And I almost slammed into a building on the other side of the street. I was running so fast, when I got a foot or two away, I just turned my back and slammed into the building, and I slid down, and I was just shaking. And I was just remember being so afraid. Actually, that street was Woodward, which runs downtown into Jefferson in Detroit.
Mhm.
And people yelled and cursed at me, and I got up and I started running again. But that was August 17th of 1997, and I haven't had a drink, drug, or cigarette since that day.
Okay. So God
Yeah,
answered your prayer.
he did, but not when I wanted him to. I didn't.
I know. I know. Sometimes that time, and we all have to work on that and be patient. I think one of the things I realized, almost every story in the Bible, there is some form of patience
Hmm.
that is a part of those Bible stories. So that's something that I have to work on myself, and I continue to work on being patient, because our time is not God's time, but
I've
He's
never,
always
I've
on
never
time.
been, I've never been a patient person. I
Mhm.
have learned to be patient at times, and I still struggle with that.
Me too.
But when I changed my life, you know, when I stopped the madness with the drinking and the other drugs and the cigarettes and everything, and uh, everything changed. I found some peace.
Hmm.
I still missed my mom, but uh, I began to uh, become the person that I think God intended for me to be. But
Absolutely.
being hard headed, as the old folks used to say, I had to go through something to learn something. But still to this day, I don't know why God had blessed me so much.
Hmm.
Um,
Because you have a
but
program now, you help other people. I know you mentioned it. It's Get Back Up Inc., right?
yes, I
And you
started
have a
Get Back Up.
website and your book and your documentary. You have to share with us how we can get all those things.
Okay, well, Get Back Up is a 501c3 nonprofit residential substance abuse facility.
Okay.
We're on McDougal in Detroit. And I started off on Dexter on the west side, and 3 years ago I moved to McDougal on the east side.
Hmm.
But I just wanted to give back and help people learn the lessons that I've learned, and hopefully before they go through all the things that I went through to learn those lessons. And
Hmm.
it's challenging work, because most people have to, I guess they have to go through something to really get to a point where they realize that, that's a losing game. And unfortunately, many people die in their addiction.
Hmm.
However, Get Back Up, the website is my initials for Bill Taylor, BT, getbackup.com, all together,
Okay.
just like it sounds, BT,
Okay.
getbackup.com. And
And your book is
that's,
available on Amazon or?
um, I don't know if it's still on Amazon or not, but I know people can go to YouTube, and the movie, my documentary film is Perseverance, the story of Dr. Billy Taylor. I know on YouTube you can see about 20 minutes of that film.
Okay.
Uh, and I have to look at look into where the book is available. Now I have some copies for friends and relatives. Um, so I know it had been on Amazon, but I'm not sure if it's there anymore.
Okay, I'll check and I'll put it in the notes and everything and in the commentary where we can reach you and where we can hear more about your story. One of the things is that it's so inspiring. I mean, it's the right word to get back up. I asked you to be a part of the I Am Closed because it's such a prevalent condition now for a lot of
Mhm.
people. But what you inspire us all to do, Dr. Taylor, is even if we become closed, that we know that we can get back up, that we
That's
can
right.
move forward. And I really appreciate you sharing all this with my listeners because we need to hear more inspirational stories. We all, like you said, fall down in different
Mhm.
situations, whether it's a big fall or a little fall. And we've been falling ever since we've been trying to walk. But you get back up, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think I don't know if I completed the information people need to see at least 20 minutes of the documentary. It's
Uh-huh.
Perseverance. You plug in Perseverance, the story of Dr. Billy Taylor on YouTube, and
Okay.
you can see at least 20 minutes of the documentary film. And I think a friend told me recently they got some copies of my book on eBay.
Okay.
So there, Amazon, I'm not sure. Um, but I
Yeah, that document.
always
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I always say to people when I'm speaking as a keynote or on my radio show that bad times don't last always, and
That's right.
you know this too shall change, but when life knocks you down, get back up.
That's it. I'll probably try to play some of your theme song. And that's another way for people to listen to you on a regular basis is through your radio program every Saturday morning. And if you could give us the call number, because it's on the internet, right?
Yes, it's 910 AM radio, 910 AM the superstation. And the call-in number if for comment or question is 313-778-7600. That's 313-778-7600. And now it's an early show,
Mm-hmm.
Deborah, every Saturday morning from 6 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can
But
catch me.
it's a wake up show though. It'll
Oh,
wake you
yeah.
up.
It'll get you going, that's for sure.
Yeah, that topic, the topics and your call in people, your audience. I mean, it is very, very, it gets you going.
Yeah, you got to be ready for the truth, and I always say, let's get to the meat on the show. And my partner is Bishop Gerald Roberts, a co-host, but
Mhm.
we only talk about things that matter.
Right.
And that's where I'm at, and it's all about trying to help people, and you know that's just what I do.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess in the closing remarks, I want to really thank you. I appreciate you spending the time. I'm glad you dressed up in your blue and gold. I try to, be accordingly attired with the right colors and
I
everything this
see
time. Not quite as many M's, but of course I like M. But
you.
with Mother's Backyard and Mary and all those things. But I really appreciate this. I think it is going to inspire people, help people. That's your mission in life, and you've done so much already to give back and to show people that they can be better. That despite where we are, whether we're closed, whether we're down, whether we're depressed, even through grief, that eventually there will come a time. That's the hope that we all live for, is there will come a time where we will get back up. And it's just
Absolutely.
a great example. So I hope people will buy your book and that they will be inspired. And I would like to ask you to close the program with one thought that you would like to leave our listeners with around I am closed, but get back up.
Well, as I said earlier in the show, whatever your age or gender is, we all are going to go through something. We all suffer losses and disappointments and tragedies. Um, don't try to deal with it entirely on your own. Reach out to someone. Make sure it's a reliable source. Don't just go to anybody, but somebody that cares about you and will give you some valid information, and talk about it. Don't be closed in. Don't keep it to yourself. um, you know um, you can get through it. It may not be easy, and it may take a while. Well, you just have to stay the course, and try to remain positive, but reach out for help.
Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. That we did this thing. I think
Well,
we
thanks
got
for
good
having me
footage
on your
and
show. You
everything.
too.
Bye.